Okay. Waiting for the string to come online. Come on. Okay. Give me just a minute because I'm trying to see exactly what's going on. I need to open like several windows here. Oh, come on. Okay. These are all new. Hello. Can you hear me and can you see me well enough? So, are you ready for our little goldfish? Let me put this away. And first of all, I need to show you, because I said if you don't have something to make the scales with, I will show you how to make something. Alors, pour faire les écailles, si vous n'avez pas un instrument à modeler, je vais vous montrer comment faire un. Vous pouvez user une paille. Just cut the tip like this. You might have to recut it as time goes by because it might get soft, but you can use this to make scales. I don't seem to be very well focused. Give me just a minute. Let's see if I turn on the autofocus, if we can see better. So I showed you this. Another tool you can make is from a little tea light. You just take the candle out. And then you take this is a very, very soft metal. And then you take scissors. Don't try to use the edges because the edges are very soft. The bottom is a little bit tougher. So you make sure that it's kind of round here. Qu'est-ce que c'est ça? Bosser. Tu dois m'expliquer. Qu'est-ce que c'est ça, bosser? So you can do the scales with this. Let me see. You can see. Ah, je vois. And another tool that you can use, if you have one of those tips for cake decorating, if you have the one that's completely round here, that's perfect. You don't have to do anything. But if you don't, and you have one that you don't use, or just buy one and mess it up, like this one I never use because I have like 3 the same, and you just flatten it a little bit, and then you can use this end, the same thing. I personally prefer the straws because they are a little bit softer and they make better imprints. Of course, I will take this closer so you can see better. So there are several ways, before we start, there are several ways of making the goldfish. The way that is the simplest is to, just use either white and you paint it, or you use a Skinner blend of yellow and orange. The way that I prefer to do it, so it would look more realistic, and of course this keeps freezing on me, to look more realistic, is to put a layer of white, and then on top of that I put a thin layer of translucent. Yeah, j'ai fait ça pour que les personnes qui arrivent plus tard, elles peuvent voir ce qu'il y a, ce qu'ils ont manqué. Bonsoir, Cécile. Oui, pour le plus réaliste résultat, tu dois avoir du translucent. Pas beaucoup, seulement une petite couche. And then for colors, what I do, the only thing that I do is to brush a little bit of white pearl on the scales and the fins, and then I use either alcohol inks or very diluted acrylic paint to get it more realistic. Alors, je mis d'abord, avant de le cuire, je mis de la mica en poudre blanc perle, et ensuite je le fais colorer avec des encres à l'alcool ou de l'acrylique dilué. Now, the thing is, this that I told you to have ready, this is flexible, obviously. You can set it, but in order to make it, blend nicely with the rest, we will come down with the clay about here. So at that point, you will have to decide what position you want the little tail to be in. And that's how you will leave it. And then you'll color the liquid clay the same as you color the rest of the body. So, are you ready? Let's start. Now remember, this is masking tape. So the best is to get a little bit of liquid clay and smear it on it, just to make the raw clay adhere a little bit better. Because once you get your base layer there, you have no more problems. Now, normally I would let it sit for a few minutes, because remember I said in a prior tutorial, if you let the liquid clay sit for a little bit, it will become a little bit harder and the raw clay will stick to it much better. As when it's very fresh, the clay has the tendency to kind of slip around and slide. Merci Cécile, si tu peux traduire pour moi, ça serait super. What you need to be very careful about is to press real good, so you'll make sure that you have no air bubbles between the masking tape and the clay. This is actually how most of the one-of-a-kind art dolls are made. You make a wire armature, and then most of the time you kind of put first masking tape and then aluminum foil and then masking tape again, because that gives more resistance to your work. Now we have to decide which of these will be the belly and which of these will be the top of the fish. So looking like this, it looks like this is the belly. So I'm going to put a little bit more clay here, because the goldfish has a fairly big belly. Connor, il ne mange pas n'importe quoi. Il est très gâté. Quand il s'agit de, vous savez, les petites conserves pour les chats, il aime seulement la sauce. Il crie qu'il veut, mais il va seulement manger la sauce. Il ne mange pas le pâté. Non, merci. Il est très gâté. So let's see. That's pretty much, I think that's pretty much it. Now let's decide where we want the eyes to be. And I said you can use black beads. Just make sure that they are glass or stone, so they wouldn't melt in the oven. Or you can just use regular black clay. Oh, come on. In my own broadcast freezes. And there we go. And we are going to go for a goldfish with a little bit of big eyes. Let's try and make sure that they are equal. So something like this should be the idea, and the eyes will bug out like that. So let's add a little bit more clay. Actually, I'm going to go through the pasta machine on the thinnest setting. Oui, habituellement, ils ont des gros yeux. Now just make sure that your fish is all nice and even all over. This is actually a very simple project. I'm just amazed that I have so many French speakers among my subscribers. And I know that they are not all from France. There's quite a bit of people from Canada and from Belgium too. This is pretty much the most La Palme, si tu vas dans mes vidéos, j'ai fait une vidéo mercredi ou jeudi. Comme faire ça, la palme et l'armature et tout ça, pour l'avoir prêt pour toujours, pour aujourd'hui. C'est de fil en cuivre, je crois, et du fimo liquide. So yeah, as I said, this is the most time consuming to make sure that everything is nice and yeah, it would be nice if they would allow these chats to be voice too. Because you know how on Hangouts on air you can talk with several people and then the camera just moves to the person who's talking. I know that I did Google Hangouts on air before with I have a couple other channels, and on one of them at one point I was making videos in collaboration with someone else. Un de ces deux nouveaux chatons que tu as adopté. Okay, I only have a little bit here left. Now, just to give you a heads up, they said that we got a sudden cold front and we might get some storms this afternoon. They did not say when this afternoon. I don't think it's going to happen this early, but just in case. Okay, that's pretty good. You know what? Give me a minute. Let me go turn off my laptop because I think that there are people who are trying to talk to me there, and that slows down this. Okay. Because what it does, it freezes up my my video in the live control room. I know it has nothing to do with you. Oh, Martha. No, but goldfish always look pregnant. Remember, they have that big belly. Most of them. The bug-eyed ones do. And we are making a bug-eyed goldfish. Okay, let's get ready some translucent. If I can get to it. I have to keep the mouse out of the way, but I do need the mouse. Okay. Let's get some translucent and run it on the thinnest setting. Yeah, I can see that. I would too. I told you I do clay doodling. That's why I make all these itty bitty things. That's how I came up with the, I don't know if I've ever shown you my sleeping fairy babies. So we pretty much cover everything with a layer of translucent. And keep it coming about 1 centimeter, so about 1/3 of an inch. Make sure you don't cut the tail. Down on the tail, actually, because we are going to blend it in. So try to do the translucent pretty even. So, and again, make sure you don't get air bubbles. So see how I'm doing? I'm going very little at a time. Oh, that would drive me nuts. And you didn't leave a single package out just to have something to play with? Okay. Don't forget to tell me if you get any kind of focusing issues. Because remember that my thing here freezes on the screen. And again comes the matter of nicely blending and keeping things very, very Now, because we are going to have scales here, I'm not worried too much. But generally speaking, translucent is kind of prone to getting what's called in one-of-a-kind art doll maker's world, moonies. And that's a kind of blacking when little air bubbles get trapped in the clay and then they show like little white dots. And that is the bane of doll makers, because most of the clays that have a very realistic flesh color do have a certain amount of translucent. And if they don't, people do put translucent in it because the real flesh has a translucency to it. But because of that, it has the tendency to get moonies. And this specific smoothing has the tendency to get moonies. And that's why I said it's a good thing that we are getting scales on this. Okay, so this is pretty much how it should look when you're done smoothing out. Now, before we get farther, let's do a little bit of blending on the, just a little bit, because we'll finish later. This will be the last thing we do on it. Now, I took my eyeglasses off. I'll just put them on from time to time to see the chat. See, I'm just pulling down the translucent on the liquid. This is how you actually do a mermaid tail, only that you will get Angelina film in here and to get all those beautiful iridescences. And you can actually cover each of these wires with clay, so the wires won't be noticeable anymore. Or they would be enough noticeable as to think that they are the little bones. Now, before we go forward, let's put this aside a little bit and do some fins, because we will have to do 2 fins to the side and actually like 2 fins to each side. And a couple teenagers, huh? We will make the fins and then put them aside and just, you know, get them on when we get to them. So I'm going to use a piece of wax paper because it's easier to move around. And I did the thinnest, and then I am stacking it and try to make sure I don't get any air bubbles. Oh yeah, to show you, remember that I told you that I have issues with dropping stuff because of the nerve damage. Oh, whatever color you want it to be, that's why I'm using translucent. I'm going to paint it after it's baked. I'm going to use some alcohol ink. I'm going to just put a little bit of white pearl mica. So I think that mine will be that orangish goldish with maybe a little bit of gray or black streaks. Okay, so what I was going to say, with all dropping, I managed to mess up my pretty, look at this, look what I did. I kept dropping it on the work surface and it cracked. I didn't think it was so delicate. See how it cracked here too. Just glass on glass and it cracked. Okay, so I'm going to carve 2 pairs of fins for each side and for the back. They don't have to be exactly symmetrical. But one pair of fins is a little bit bigger, the one that comes near the tail. And the other pair of fins is a little bit smaller, the one that's closer to the head. So these are the bigger ones. These are the smaller ones. And we won't make the dorsal fin too long because you don't want it to start breaking all over the place. So again, in order to give it a no, gold isn't tinted with alcohol ink or mica powder. But it's up to you how you want to make it. As I said, you can do a work with the Skinner blend between yellow and orange. Oh, hello, Isabel. So just make a few dents. And then carve in the dents. Can you see what I'm doing here? Do the same for these other ones. Now, remember, Martha, that you can re-watch this from the start because it gets recorded and posted. So whatever you missed, you'll be able to watch. I'm trying to remember how to say it in French. 1991. J'ai pas pu le faire avant ça parce que j'habitais en Roumanie et c'était un pays communiste et le polymère était du capitalisme. Donc, après la révolution et tout ça, quand on a commencé à en avoir accès au matériel de l'Ouest, alors j'ai commencé le polymère. Mais j'ai sculpté en argile, tu sais, céramique, porcelaine. So this will be for now. We will work on them a little bit later. Well, I'm not that young, you know. Okay. Now let's get to, as an idea, we will have the little lips here, and we will have the eyes here. Now let's try working on the head first to, oh oui, bien sûr, to get the limit of the scales. So they usually have something like this going on. No, I will not use my cuticle cutter because that one makes pointy scales, and the goldfish, they have round scales. So let's start on the scales. You always start with the first row, and then the second one you offset it. And make sure you lift a little bit, because that will allow you to do the mica powder enhancement. Now, of course, if you want to go very realistic, you'll make the scales on the belly a little bit smaller. But I think we are not going to go that realistic. Let me get the... So I guess that cold front didn't get here yet. It's like 106 degrees heat index outside here. So my air conditioning is working real hard right now. That's why I wasn't able to do much yesterday afternoon after I came back home from my little weekend frolics. I think I told you I go every weekend with my best friend, and we go to all kinds of secondhand stores, and we find all kinds of neat stuff. we go treasure hunting. I mean, really, there's a lot of, antique things that you can find, and those people there, the Goodwill, they aren't really, like art specialists, so they might think that something is really trash, but when in reality it's some really rare ceramic or, you know. Of course, if they see Coach or Chanel, they will know that that's a good stuff and put it aside or sell it for more. Okay, let me see. I told you I'm putting my eyeglasses from time to time. Oh no, I don't like cold. Cold makes me faint. No kidding. I'm focusing on the belly right now to get it out of the way. So see what I'm doing? I'm offsetting the next row of scales pretty much in the middle of the ones above. And see, my little straw started widening, so I need to cut it again. I told you this might happen. Now the scales on the belly, you don't have to lift them that much. The ones on the back, you kind of want to lift them a little bit. I'm trying to make it smaller as I get towards the tail. Because remember, if you've ever scaled a fish, the scales on the tail are very, very tightly packed, and you don't go lower than this with the scales on the tail. Maybe about 2 or 3 millimeters. So yeah, this looks a little time consuming, doesn't it? That's for making, of course, if you want to make it faster and you don't care much about realism, you just, you can take like a net, like from, or a tea strainer, and just apply it on. Okay, now we are getting to the back, and these ones are a little bit bigger and a little bit more raised. Okay, let me see. Oops, sorry. Yeah, I have a good friend who lives in Alaska. It took her a while to get used to the long night, but now she loves it. So yeah, as I said, you want a little bit of translucency on your fish if you want it to look realistic, because fish do have a lot of translucency. And even if you would do a Skinner blend, the best would be to mix the Skinner blend colors with translucent. And then you'd put more yellow, and I would mix a little bit of white in the yellow as well. I would actually go like white, yellow, orange, and more towards coral actually. And put the white on the belly and the yellow towards the head and the orange pretty much on the back. But that's why I think that alcohol inks should work the best. I've never done yet one with alcohol inks. I did it with mica powders and I did it with acrylics. But I'm going to try today alcohol inks because I think that because of the transparency, they should give an even more realistic effect. And I noticed that whenever I use alcohol inks on the polymer clay, with the intent of actually coloring some type of design or pattern, if I treat the alcohol inks exactly the way that I would treat watercolor on paper, that's when I get the exact desired results. Another thing, try to not use very much alcohol inks on raw clay, because it has the tendency to dry the clay out and you might have the surprise of it starting to crack whenever you try to use your roller on it next time. Okay. So here we are with the scales. Now let's do the little fish lips. Oh yeah, definitely. But the birds don't have a transparent tail. So we make two fish lips. And yeah, if you have a, like when we are going to do the owl necklace for that realistic feather cane, I will build a wire armature to it because it's going to have to support the whole weight of the necklace. And if you want it to last, then you kind of need something to, yeah, it will look like it's hanging on the bail. I need a little bit here. Okay. Now let's take care of the eyes. So I'm going to just use plain clay. And as I said, I'm going to make it bug-eyed. Now, remember how we bed the gemstones? Non, c'était pas pour la solidité, c'était parce que j'avais un tout petit peu qui n'était pas couvert avec du translucent. C'est pourquoi j'ai mis ce petit morceau ici. Oh yeah, Martha, and call me Day. Kalyana is my business name, so to speak. So we are going first to put a little bit around here, try to make it equal. Because see how there's a little bit of space, and the eyes do bug out, but not wider than at the base. Do the same for the other eye. I strongly advise you to make the fish quite shiny because hey, fish are wet. But even if you don't decide to not make the fish very shiny, make sure that you put a lot of gloss on the eyes if you want them to look realistic. Okay, and now we will need 2 strips that will have to come from the base of the eye to a little bit after it starts curving on the top. But these have to be fairly thin. They'll be almost transparent, especially on the top. Let me see if I got the width right. So it's too wide. Try to make it hide the little ring underneath. I will look at the chat in a second. Okay, let me see what you're saying. Okay, I'm trying to catch up with the chat. Okay. No, I love mug cake. I used to make a lot of mug cakes when I was on low carb. It's so easy to make something. But yeah, my hands issues are the main thing why I stopped doing one-of-a-kind doll sculpting, because when you do jewelry and you mess up a bead, it's okay, you can redo that bead. But when you work on a doll for 4 or 5 days and then your hands mess up and just with one movement you destroy what you worked for 4 or 5 days, yeah, you don't want to do that anymore. You give up. It's too frustrating. But yeah, this morning I messed up a pair of earrings because I dropped them as I was taking them out of the oven, and because they were nice and soft taken out of the oven, they bent to the point that I couldn't fix them anymore. Then those pretty triangular earrings that I made with the mokumegane, those I messed up because I was putting resin on them. And as I was putting resin on one of them, my hand twitched, so I just poured resin on it and it went all over the place. So I will have to redo them. I'll be done with these eyes in a minute, and then I can put on my glasses again and see what you guys are saying in the chat. Okay, time for the fins, and after that it's mica powder and we are done. Okay. Oh, goodness. Oh, good. I'm glad. Okay, now when we put the fins on, try not to let them hanging, because if you let them hanging, they will be very prone to breaking, even if you bake this for a bazillion years. I mean, besides, remember that the translucent will have the tendency to get yellow. So I'm going to put one here. Actually, let me figure out how I want my tail. Okay. this. And I'll put one fin here. And let's blend it a little bit. I got it backwards, sorry. So put it kind of like this so it wouldn't stick out too much from the tail. It will have a little bit of protection. I worked with black earlier and it's like itty bitty bits of black all over the place. Let me see the chat. Anyone has any questions right now? I know that's the main thing, that it gets all over the place, and it's the same with white clay on black. Now extend this, because that way you will fix the clay in place when you press on these ridges. Okay, merci Dominique. Okay. Now see another little speck of black. Now remember how sometimes the fins are cracked like that? You can crack them a little bit, just don't let anything stick out too much because they would get snagged in the clothing. but you can actually bend it a little bit to make it look more. Now, what I will do before I put the dorsal fin, because if I put it, then it will be very hard to do something. I'm going first to make a small cut here. And kind of widen it a bit. And then I will take some of this mica powder. Because if I put the fin, it will be very hard to put the mica powder on the scales with the fin in the way. And I'm going to brush the scales. Yes, you can put alcohol ink on top of mica powder. And the other scales, I can brush them afterwards, but I want to brush the ones that are in and around the dorsal fin. And I might want to enhance a little bit some scales here. Now remember, when you put alcohol ink, it will go in the recesses exactly like an acrylic. So once you put the alcohol ink diluted in there and you wipe off with a little bit of alcohol, the tops with the mica powder should stick out, I think. I told you I'd never used alcohol inks before. I think that this is how it should work due to my personal observations and experience of as a painter. Okay, now I can put on the, and I'm going to actually put a pinch of liquid clay, because you know how once you put mica powder on something, it's very hard to make stuff stick. I'm flattening this at the base so it would fit in there properly. And I'm making sure that I have enough ridges whenever I don't drop something. Now there's left to be done is to mica powder it all over the place and then bake it. Oh oui, c'est du fumant liquide. Yes, yes. That's what I said. You can do the clay colored. You can go with the Skinner blend, but I suggest that you put translucent in it to keep this realistic thing. Whenever I try to do something with liquid clay that would be very translucent, I always do Fimo. Fimo is more transparent than Sculpey. I don't know. I never worked with Kato, so I don't know how Kato is, but what I saw by some reviews, it's the least transparent of all. And excuse me, I don't usually use Kato anymore because of the smell, and especially after I noticed that every time I was baking Kato, my guys were starting to puke. So no, but yeah, Fimo, this is Fimo liquid. Any liquid, and if you go back and you look in my videos, there is the video of Wednesday or Thursday where I made this to show you how to make it, to have it ready for today. So right now, all that I'm still doing is the mica powder. And after that, it's baking time. I don't know. I don't usually use Sculpey for anything else except sticking raw clay to baked clay. That's it. I don't think it's transparent at all. So I'm going to put mica powder on the fins and pretty much almost everywhere except the eyes and the mouth. And it's white pearl. By the way, I saw that they came up with a couple more duo colors in the Pearlex. If you go and look at their website, if you go look, Polymer Clay Tutor has a video where she actually had both of them, all three of them, and she did the experiment with the translucence as well. But she tried the liquids, and I think that's where I think that's where I saw it. But as I said, I never tried the Kato, so I don't know. I only tried the Fimo and the Sculpey. And the Fimo, I used to use it when I was making doll's eyes, because it gives a glass-like appearance. It's a little cloudy when you take it out of the oven, but it's got two secrets. First of all, bake it at 325, not 300. And then after you take it out of the oven, put the heat gun on it and you'll see it become glass-like in a few seconds. It's amazing. It's like with the embossing powders. You know how when they start popping up, that's exactly how you see the Fimo getting glass-like. Okay, I'm like 20 minutes over time. Okay, so this is pretty much the little fish pendant. And as usual, I will bake it. It is. You go on, you can find it on Amazon, online. Of course, don't order it now because it's too hot. Yeah. What I never use as clay, I never use Sculpey 3. It's absolutely shit. But yeah, go and get Pardo. Pardo is about the best I got. Last time I got Pardo, I got like 2 pounds of translucent. I still have a whole bunch of it, but I intend this winter to get some. I would like to try the um, Cernit, the new Cernit translucents, because I've seen that they came up with all kinds of new translucents, and I'm wondering if they are better than the Pardo. But the Pardo is, that's why it's called the jewelry clay, because it keeps the detail fantastic, and it probably because of the beeswax it has inside. And also I love the smell. It has absolutely no smell whatsoever. So yeah, I see. I've seen Pandora doing in the last couple of days all kinds of experiments with the uh, Sculpey liquid clear. I don't know, it should be, this is the regular translucent liquid. I don't know, I would have to see if it's a different thing, but she got real translucency. If you go on her channel and look, she posted a video on making a color with all kinds of charms, that on half of it she used Sculpey clear, and on the other half she used Cernit. So, but yes, Cecil, I would love to try and see what is the difference between. No, this one is not. This one does not become translucent. It's called translucent, but no, I think that there's another one that says clear, because now they came up with the liquid in various colors. But I think that on that one it actually says clear, and this one does not say clear. This one is just the old TLS. So, okay, I will be baking this and then coloring it. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make me a piece of clay that I am going to make some scales on. And I'm going to try the ink on this first to see how it works. And I will post a short video like I always do with the finished project. Thank you for being with me today. Yeah, I know that it's a different one. It's not like this one. And I will, let's see, today is the 23rd. The next Clay With Me Sunday, I actually will, either before or after next Sunday, I will be making, because it's the 30th, right? Let me see. Yes, it's the 30th. Either on the 29th or that Saturday or Sunday before or after the Clay With Me Sunday, I will do my end of the month with everything that I did and what I intend to do in the next month. And because of that, if you want before the next Clay With Me and before this thing, if you have any questions to ask, go ahead and do that, because I will do the end of the month as a live event. So be ready. It will probably be again around 2 o'clock, because I think it's the best. Yeah, but you can always write to me. And remember, you can ask me questions either on my blog or on the Facebook. So, because I keep getting all kinds of questions through the email and on Facebook and on everything. So I will try and do a question and answers too on top of the Clay With Me Sunday. So thank you for being here. And it was, as usual, a pleasure to talk to you. I wish I just could see better so I can interact all the time, not have to wait until I put my eyeglasses back. So good luck with your goldfish, and I'll see you Saturday or Sunday. Thank you. Tu peux le trouver dans mon... Si tu vas dans mon channel, there's a link there to go straight to my Facebook. Okay? Thank you, and have a happy Sunday. Thank you. Let me stop the broadcast. Have a wonderful Sunday and see you next week.